It is game 1 of the Ayre Masters Series I. And well, looking at the civs, it's Khmer versus Aztecs in the blue here. We have Capoch. He is the top seed in this tournament, and he'll be playing as the Khmer. His opponent, DracKeN, in the purple at the top of the map, he is playing as the Aztecs. So he chose the Aztecs for his mesosiv instead of mines. Perhaps could be slightly better against Khmer. Might have an easier time dealing with the primarily cavalry composition. Now, this match is a best of 3. It is the first round of the Ayre Masters Series I, the Golden Cup. For those watching on YouTube, all the maps in this tournament are Gold Rush themed, so game 1 will be Gold Rush, as these players start their initial builds. Capoch already pushing a dare in. Could be already thinking about doing some form of fast castle strategy. Looking at his map, he does have this wood line over towards his left-hand side, which he could use to wall towards one of his starting houses. And he could also just wall up this side towards the berries and then across towards his town centre as well. He does have this gold in the back, which is very nice, which could carry him towards a fast castle. Theoretically, you do only need 200 gold to get up to Castle Edge. Might need an extra 50 though to get Loom as well. Looking at DracKeN's map, he's also got a safe gold in the back, and actually his main gold is also somewhat safe if he was to wall from this wood line here across towards the stone. And then in between all these wood lines up towards the top of the map there, which there is a hole there, by the way, which he's going to have to be careful about. If he walls like that, he's got a pretty safe fast castle map as well. And I'm sure the players of this skill are very capable of figuring that out for themselves. DracKeN trying to lure that disobedient boar. That's unfortunate. That's not really a perfect start. It's right though, it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's just not ideal. Capoch coming in with a double dare push. Probably not exactly what he was meaning to do, but it's happening regardless. Look at that. The second dare just joining in. Doesn't want to miss out. Being sent to its death to be gathered for food. Yeah, Capoch already getting this wall up, so he is going to be looking to do some form of fast castle strategy. Aztecs, they are likely to do more of a Drush fast castle. Now, because it's Gold Rush, there are a whole bunch of wolf-type units in the middle of the map. On this map, it just so happens to be snow leopards. So, doing a Drush, he could go for a 1 militia wolf rush, but I would more so expect players to not rely on that strategy too much and probably more so go with the more standard Drush FC. If Drush at all is the option. Capoch choosing to wall all the way out here instead, so he's going to secure more of his map. It probably also just makes more sense to wall out here. Secures the berries a bit easier. We have an eagle scout fight happening at the moment. Capoch's going to look to just run away. He does have a disadvantage going up against an eagle. The eagle does have 1 extra attack and 10 extra HP as well. 5 extra HP, sorry. There isn't any barracks coming up from either player, so I don't think Drush is going to be the play. So, coming in towards the middle stage of the game, Aztecs likely to try and head towards their eagle composition. Gonna probably try and do some raiding while he tries to secure the center. Khmer probably more so going to be heading towards knights, if anything, in Castle Age. Khmer, they don't have to build any prerequisite buildings, so he may even be looking to just avoid a barracks entirely and just going straight for the stable. He doesn't necessarily need a barracks going up against Aztecs. Aztecs can't make cavalry unless they convert a stable, but I don't think we'll be seeing that. I'll be very happy if we do see that. That's one of my favorite units in the game, the Zolotl Warrior. Capoch is up first. He didn't pick up Loom, which is why he's up first. But he will be fully walled, and I'm pretty sure he realizes that there's no DracKeN coming, so he doesn't see a need to do Loom just yet. He will pick it up later. Now, DracKeN's made a slight bit of an error. He warmed his eagle in. He does let it out. It's an extra 3 wood, but it doesn't make too much of a difference. He's going to go out to scout his opponent, and he's going to run into a wall. He's not going to be able to see much. Just made sure to spend that extra time pushing in those extra deers and making sure he has a very good view of the back of his base to know what's around. So like I said, Capoch will be up first, so he will have a slight upper hand when it comes to military production. He is actually getting Loom now after hitting Feudal Age. Building a stable. He doesn't need any other prerequisite building, but he will probably chuck up a blacksmith as well. Perhaps on the way up. Just to conserve on villager idle time. Does almost have the resources for it. In fact, he will click up now. Meanwhile, DracKeN, he has to build these extra buildings. So, Khmer, they were always going to have the advantage going into Castle Age, just based on timings. Capoch will go up on less villages, though. So, he isn't going to have as strong as an eco as straight off the bat as what the Aztecs are. Capoch is sending a villager out. I'm wondering if he's just going to try and secure the middle, which would probably be a death sentence, seeing as there's so many wolf types in the map. Now, does DracKeN see this? Capoch is making sure to keep an eye on where that eagle is, as there's a little bit of an eagle versus scout fight. That eagle does have the advantage because of how low HP that both players sending villagers for, how low HP that scout is. These villagers are actually just going to run into each other. And both these players will see that. Capoch actually making more scouts. So he will just have full advantage in that fight. In fact, he cleans up the eagle. Barracks coming down on the front. And what does Capoch drop? Is he going to drop a siege workshop, probably? See what the verdict is. Yeah, it's a siege workshop. Okay. Both players are going to look to be very, very aggressive in this early stage of the game. Now, DracKeN is fully walled. If Capoch was to target one of these houses or something, then he might have a better chance of getting in. Monastery going up on the front for DracKeN. And one in the back of his base. So he's gonna look to maybe do a bit more of a clown strategy rather than a normal strategy. One of my friends did once say, if the map is not arena, just bring arena to your map, and that seems to be what DracKeN is doing here. He has made a bunch of spearmen as well. He's getting redemption. So he will look to convert the siege instead of just pushing it away with units. Oh, Capoch has got to be very careful about what's happening with that villager. He brings the scouts in to kind of block the wolves. This is quite an intense moment of the game, but I think that villager will survive. And that villager did need to survive because it's there to repair the siege if it was to be damaged. Gonna get a shot off onto the wood line. DracKeN does lose a villager, and that would be the second kill of the game. First eco kill of the game. Siege Workshop on the front now for DracKeN. And the first move towards the center has also been made by Capoch. He's making sure to chuck one of his extra TCs up on the front. DracKeN not yet going for any extra TCs. Capoch will be on 3. And like I said, he probably should do. Capoch is just going to target one of these houses to try and get in. Now, because monks are out, these knights, they're going to have a hard time of actually getting anything done. And with redemption in as well, it's going to be far more difficult for Capoch to actually push in properly. So he might look to sit back or maybe defend at home, as that pressure on the front is starting to come in now. Now, he doesn't necessarily have any raiding units, DracKeN, so I'm not too sure what he's gonna do here. Maybe he's gonna come in and push with monks. Does drop another monastery on the front. That villager will go down. Meanwhile, on the other side, Capoch still trying to find an avenue into DracKeN's eco. Ooh, DracKeN actually got a conversion off. Oh, and he doesn't want to let that knight into his base. Does get the TC fire, so it will just die, but it didn't have any upgrades on it either, so that actually wasn't the worst of it for Capoch. Could have been far worse. Monastery coming up now for Capoch as well, so he's going to respond to the monks with monks. Going up against Aztec monks, their monks get an extra 5 HP added to them per monastery tick that they research, which is all of them they have access to. So these monks can become super tanky. In fact, look at that, even against the knight attack there, that monk still very much survived. Another knight will get converted there, probably. Yep, there it is, just as that monk goes down, and now, well, the knight advantage is in favor of DracKeN, using his prowess in monk micro to its fullest, practicing that a lot on maps like Arena. Oh, he also got that mangonel on the front as well. He did successfully convert that. So now most of the pressure is on Capoch. Capoch is trying to find that mangonel to try and snipe it, but whether or not he's successful in that effort is going to be another question. DracKeN's got to be careful about running monks under the TC like that. They are 100 gold a pop, so it's a bit of a waste to throw them under the TCs. 3 mangonels out now for DracKeN. He is 11 villages behind though. That's just down to how many TCs he has. I would like to see him trying to add more TCs at home, or even trying to make a play towards the center over here, just so he can continue securing gold, because pretty soon this is all going to run out. 4 mangonels now. I like this siege monk approach versus Khmer, because Khmer in the castle age, they're going to have a very hard time of dealing with it. He's now making light cav. So he'll have an easier time dealing with the monks, but he's also got a whole bunch of spearmen out as well. So that is gonna make the light cav switch a bit more challenging. First TC does go down. And actually that TC going down did make Capoch housed a bit, so he's gonna have to rush up a couple houses. Oh, I like what DracKeN's trying to do here. He's trying to snipe the monks. There was a little bit of DE pathing happening there and a whole bunch of bumping, but he was trying to snipe the monks, which is exactly what you want to do. Villagers now coming out to rush down the 4 mangonels. Ooh, nice attack ground there from DracKeN. Did a lot of damage to those villagers, even took one down. Meanwhile, still no extra TCs from DracKeN. He's certainly looking to just stick it with the siege monk push. Converts those light cav up the top there. Is losing all the siege though, so that is going to be music to Capoch's ears, having all 4 of those mangonels going down. Now we can breathe a little bit, really, with all those siege weapons gone. He is on the back foot a little bit at the moment. He does have the eco lead still, but that's just down to the fact that he's got more TCs. Another engagement happening here. Monks converting units left, right, and center. Knights coming and dealing with all the light cav while they get converted to the other side. Meanwhile, 3 of the 4 light cav up the top there got converted to DracKeN's side. There's very messy engagements happening. Hasn't really ever been clear cut yet as to who's going to win a particular engagement. Another monastery gets dropped by DracKeN. DracKeN definitely has to make a move for the center because he's only got 200, 300 gold left on that gold pile, and he's about to have a whole bunch of idle villagers. He needs to just take a moment to move a few villagers towards the center. He's not on stone either, so I think I'd like to see him try and putting a castle in the middle. A knight did come forward to try and do some eco raiding, but that was never going to happen. Just conversion after conversion here in this first game. Now most of these monks should probably go down, which is going to be another bit of a relief to Capoch, because those monks are now the primary problem for him, just converting all of his units. DracKeN just diving that monk. Seems GG. Almost. DracKeN is now making a push towards the center. He will just drop a mining camp. It seems like he actually sold his stone, which is why he hasn't made any more TCs or anything like that. He is fully committed to this siege monk push. In fact, most of his units are gone. And the fact that he's run out of gold at home and hasn't gone to the center earlier, I think that's actually going to cost him a bit, because he's not going to be able to make any units, really, for the next minute, maybe. And that's going to put him a little bit behind, and it's going to allow Capoch to catch up. It's a small amount of time, but it really does make that amount of difference. I like that. DracKeN was using the redemption to its fullest, and he was attempting to convert that siege workshop. He's just going to go around and convert the houses, just trying to be a bit of an annoyance. But yeah, because the gold ran out at home, this whole siege monk push is kind of crawled to a halt. And in fact, because of that, he calls GG. Perhaps a little bit early, in my opinion. I don't think it was too GG for DracKeN. I do think he could have recovered here, but he did need to move out earlier. And he probably does see that as a mistake. Maybe a little bit tilted from not realizing that, which is why he called it. And perhaps the score is kind of lying to him a little bit, because I do think he's in a fine position. He just needs to regroup and try and remass the monks. Maybe even buy a little bit of stone so he can build a town center. But regardless, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and, well, Capoch does win the first game. He will go into the second game, which will be DracKeN's home map, with the map advantage. And that home map will be Golden Fort. Not surprised. DracKeN is one of the arena players, one of the best players on arena, so he's going to try and use that to his strength and play the map that is most like arena. Just lost with Aztecs into Khmer. And what we will do is we will just jump into that second game. I will make sure to post the recs so other casters can actually see that. I forgot to do game one. That's all right. We'll just get game 2 to them as well. And well, yeah, coming into this map, I'm expecting to see another fast castle approach type play, because it is an arena map, of course. Thinking about the civs, maybe we see a Spanish from DracKeN. Could see a Vikings or Lithuanians really from Capoch. Both of those civs seem to be very good on a map like this. We haven't seen this map pop up too much in the qualifiers though, so I haven't quite seen this map being played to its fullest. Well, we will just jump into the second game. Here it is. Capoch versus DracKeN game 2. Capoch in the blue. He's playing as the Berbers. Interesting play. The map is quite open, so Berbers could be a very good play if they can get to the center and use their mobility to its fullest. However, he will be going up against DracKeN in the purple, and he will be playing as the Italians. Now, in the pre-match, I prefaced that Italians, if they can get to a position where they're making Genbo in masses against a cavalry composition, then Italians have a very nice little bit of an advantage, because the Genbos have a bonus damage value against cavalry units. Now, whether or not we'll actually get to that is another story. It could game could end fast, who knows? We'll have to wait and see, but... And it can take a while for Italians to mass up the Genbos properly. Now, the map is Golden Fort. This is one of the new maps in this tournament. It's supposed to be an arena-esque map. The wood lines are a bit less dense around the edges of the map. And in the center, of course, because it's Gold Rush themed, there's a whole bunch of gold in the middle with a hill, which you can build castles and town centers on. But you start with walls. It's actually the hill fort start, believe it or not, but the gold is less. And also around the outside, there are boars and hunt and berries as well. So there's a lot of food on this map. That's also where all the extra stones are. And there are also 5 relics, of course, for players to pick up. Now, Berbers, I think their most common strategy on any map is to go for their cheap cavalry units. But going up against Italians, I'm not entirely sure how that would play out because of those Genbos. Now, Italians, they very well could just open crossbow and stick with that for most of Castle Age, but and then Berbers would have a fine time just dealing with that. But it's once that castle goes down and once those Genbos start being made, that's when it could become a problem for Berbers. They do have decent skirmisher, and they do have the Genitor, which I don't know how that would play out, to be honest, which they could use against it, and they do have pretty alright siege, so it shouldn't be too hard for them to deal with, but it's still a difficult unit to go up against. Now, as also mentioned previously, this is a best of 3, so if DracKeN were to lose this game, he would go home and with the lower value of the prize pool, just $75. And Capoch will, of course, move on to the next round. Capoch taking his time to push in all the deer. DracKeN choosing not to do that, which I think is an interesting play. He's more so using his time to just scout the map. Perhaps just trying to find where his opponent is, trying to find key resources that he might look to take later on. Looking for places to expand to. I don't think we'll see too much of a boomy approach because of how the map is designed. It's designed to try and force players out of their starting bases to try and place TCs. And then there's, of course, the middle. So I'm expecting more aggression over booming. It's still possible, though. DracKeN is now taking in that deer. Perhaps feeling like it's not necessarily worth it to spend the time to push it in. More so worth it to just scout the map. And he is making sure to do that to its fullest. Now, Italians, they have a bonus where they go up to the next age on with the cheaper spend. So he could be looking to use that to try and get up faster. He did do that in it was Capoch that did that in the last game with getting up faster with the lack of prerequisite buildings. He might look to use that to try and get up faster to try and have some form of military advantage, maybe trying to beat Berbers to the ideal composition. And he is going up now on a lower villager number than what Capoch is. It is more than likely by design though, with the cheaper spend. Is just going to gold now. I am expecting a stable play from Capoch. He's building that barracks up now. We will have to see. DracKeN isn't on stone just yet, so I don't think he's looking to place the castle just straight off the bat. He might look to stick it with archer crossbow just for the time being. Do want to take a moment to look at the relic position just in case that becomes important. There is this one in the middle of the map, but it looks like the relics are more so in favor of Capoch, where he's got 3 basically right next to his base, whereas DracKeN only has 2. And even then there is just one right in the middle of the map next to the hill, so it could even be a struggle to get that one for either player, if that's what they decide to do. Market blacksmith for DracKeN. Stable blacksmith for Capoch, so it will be a night play. He may look to try and get some scouts out actually to try and secure the relics, actually just playing it like arena. We have the first engagement of the game. Capoch feeling like he's at the disadvantage there, choosing to just pull away. He's going to go look for that hill, and he's going to try and use that to his advantage. DracKeN realizes and just pulls away straight away. Both the players are making their way up to the castle age. Now, Market Blacksmith, we very well could now just see a boom attempt, which I feel could be very easily punished on this map because it's only palisade gates that are protecting you. If Capoch was to come forward with a siege workshop or something, I feel like it would be very easy for him to punish. We have to see whether or not that is the play. He may even look to try and wall on this side to secure the back of his base. We'll have to wall up here or something to just secure that corner. Scouts coming into close contact with each other. Capoch does have the lesser HP on the scout. Right, what does DracKeN do? He does place a second town center straight away. It looks like he's going to place that third town center in the back there. Okay, so he's going to go for a more boomy approach. What does Capoch do? Does he drop a monastery? Does he drop stables? Does he go forward with a villager? It looks like that is the option there. He could be going forward to place a siege workshop. Could be trying to punish this boom style of play. I do like that DracKeN has patched up that top side straight away, and he is also going to patch up this bottom side as well. That scout will well, it's not going to be stuck, it's just going to go through the gate. Knights on the way for the Capoch as well. He's going to be probably Knight Siege, just to try and do as much damage as he can while DracKeN sits back and booms. He is on stone now as well, DracKeN, so he could be looking to add a castle. Whether or not he has enough time for that, though, is going to be another question. Second TC did make its way up for Capoch. Interested to see whether or not he chooses to place a third anytime soon. Mangonels are on the way. DracKeN will climb ahead in villager numbers for the time being. But that's just due to the fact that he A, got up faster, and B, got those town centers up as fast as possible. Just clearing some space in the back for later. Third town center goes up in the middle of the map for Capoch, so he's more so prioritizing the gold in the center, which I think is a good play. I think that because there's such a low amount of gold in the middle of the in your starting base, the middle is more so important than than doing a boom like this. Particularly when there's only these palisade type walls, because they're just going to go down so fast. Second mangonel is now out. Capoch actually going to target the town center. Does get housed briefly. Not ideal. Siege workshop does get placed by DracKeN, so he's going to respond to the siege with siege. He should be able to deal with this with siege of his own, but that's going to be more of a gold spend. More than what he would have wanted. Monastery being placed now by Capoch, so he's going to go for more of a, perhaps a siege monk play, do what DracKeN did to him. But the difference this time is that Capoch has got center controlled, so he won't run out of gold anytime soon. DracKeN's got to make sure he repairs that town center faster than what he is, because it's going to go down with three mangonels there if he's not careful. He has put 5 villagers onto it though, so he should be fine while this mangonel makes its way around to try and deal with the now 4 mangonels of Capoch. DracKeN does still have that village lead. In fact, that town center is just going to go down. That is not at all what DracKeN wanted. He is placing that castle down though, so he did manage to get enough stone for it. He may have bought some actually. I didn't think he was on stone for long enough to be able to get that castle up. He's going to have to be very careful with having these knights in his base. He's going to look to try and get as many genbos out as he can. And he will just micro around the mangonels. Fletching on the way, 5 genbos queued up in that castle immediately. Now he's now down a TC, so give it some time. And with all those villagers that went down to the knights there, give it some time and Capoch will very soon be in the lead in terms of villagers. University being built for ballistics. There's DracKeN building there. He cleared some space for something. It's a bit of a pause in the game. Capoch is on stone as well, so he's going to look to try and put castles up maybe in the center to just further cement his position. The first wave of Jimbos does come out. They already have Bodkinara on them. He's going to have to be very careful with the sheer number of mangonels that are out. But I'm sure he will manage. Players at this level are skilled enough to be able to deal with that kind of thing. I do like that that Capoch is building outposts around just so that he can make sure he keeps an eye on what his opponent is doing. Mangonel trade down the bottom there. DracKeN actually used the delete trick to make sure he secured the kill on that mangonel at the top of the hill. Castle goes up in the center now for Capoch. Now a 2-for-1 trade-off for DracKeN. He's doing really well with his mangonel micro, actually keeping this mangonel alive for the longest time. Probably should have died by now, if I'm honest. The knights will come down towards those mangonels to clear them up, but they're going to be very briskly met by the genbos. Imperial Age is on the way for both players, so they'll be looking to get trebuchets out to try and contest this area of the map. DracKeN is on a timer here because his gold will soon run out. And he does need to try and make sure that he secures some of the center to keep in this game. He could also try and get some of the relics. I do like that Capoch is taking the time to get those relics. He doesn't necessarily need them, but it's better he has them than his opponent has them. And he has 2 of them. I think he might be bringing the 3rd back from somewhere, because there's only 2 left on the map. And I don't see DracKeN with a monastery, so... Castle comes out. That's an alright position. It's kind of safe so that he can guarantee that he makes it. I don't think it ranges this gold or anything like that. Actually, Capoch will see that now with that scout just going past it. So he knows. He's got to send a mangonel out to try and... actually, he thought better of it. He just moved it slightly towards. Genbos and mangonels moving around this bottom side to try and find some form of avenue to raid, but Capoch is already onto it. He dropped a castle, and he's going to be safe at home from this. And if DracKeN's not careful, he's going to lose 2 or 3 of these Genbos. And he lost 1. That could have gone so much worse. Both players are now in Imp. Let's see trebuchets being made straight away. Chemistry also on the way for Capoch. He gets the, what I assume is the 4th of those relics, but I can't seem to find where the other one is. Or has gone to. Could be being carried by a monk somewhere. It's not the most important thing. Now, it is 2 castles on the front for DracKeN, so he's gonna, assuming he can balance his gold spend correctly, he's gonna be able to produce more trebuchets than what Capoch is on the front. Actually, Capoch does drop that another castle, so he was gonna aim to match that. And he's got more gold in the middle as well, so he's gonna have an easier time of actually making them, whereas DracKeN perhaps not. Having to budget his gold spend very wisely. Cavalier on the way for DracKeN, and he's making bombard cannon, which is, I suppose, it's a better unit than a trebuchet because it's more mobile, but it's also more expensive. So there's a bit of a trade-off there. He's got to be careful about losing this castle as well. These trebuchets on that hill, it's going to make it very hard for him to be able to repair that in time. In fact, I think it will just go down. Cavalier is an interesting one. Does have plenty of stables for it. It is an expensive transition. He's going to use it to try and push the center, I would imagine, with all the siege that he's got. Both players got bombard cannon now. A bit of a bombard cannon duel happening in the middle. I do like the bombard cannon addition as well, with the skirmishers being out. Capoch's position does look very strong at the moment. He's got 5 trebuchets, skirmisher, which are going to be easily dealt with by the Cavalier Mangonel bombard cannon, but got to remember that he's on a time limit here, so oh, the monk's also converting some of the Cavalier as well. Camel Archer being made. They'll be able to just be a nice addition, really. Big engagement came in there. It did very much go in favor of Capoch because of the castles. The entire goal of that, though, was to jump some of the siege. Oh, and these trebuchets going down as well. And both castles going down. Him running out of gold. He does call it, which I think is fair. I don't think, with him running out of the gold here, and him losing those castles, he could have tried to build another one further back, maybe, but with all the siege in the middle, I feel like it was just a matter of time, really, until Capoch eventually closed it out, especially with having the center. The center is crucial. I don't think the boom approach was really worth it. I liked the attempt, but because you don't have as much gold in the middle as you would on an arena, for example, the center just becomes all that more important. And because Capoch came out with a siege workshop, town center, and then eventually castles, secured that center, he managed to punish the boom very well. And well, that will put him ahead in the series. He will close out the series with a clean sweep, 2-0. And that will send DracKeN home with the lower end of the prize. Just $75. Capoch will move on to the semi-finals, which we will take a look at just after we look at the statistics very quickly, just to see what those just that gold count, 8,000 to nearly 6,000, and that's before DracKeN even ran out. So gold being a hot topic, a very hot item in this tournament. But yeah, we'll have a look at the brackets now for as we see Capoch winning 2-0. He will move on to the semi-finals.